the most common scams at the moment is in computing because there's such a lack of, I would call it a gap in knowledge between technology advances and people's capability and technology.
You have a flaw that it is that you've won at life if people admire you.
Podcast episode number 2, Nathan. What are we going to
talk
about?
Is this?
Yeah, it's very, very awesome. What are we
going to talk about? Well, we talked about last time cults.
I really want to talk about dark marketing. And
okay. Yeah.
Because it's something that I'm always looking at, like going, it's everywhere now. My experience is it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's more important now than any time because now we live in the virtual world. No one can even tell the difference between what's real and what's not.
Yes.
And so I'm like dark marketing, dark sales, scams, but not just scams, like intentional. I actually don't have any product, but I'm going to just take all your money. Like I find, and people not even noticing that it's happening.
Isn't it fascinating?
I find this fascinating. And I mean, this is why I love talking to you about narcissism and cults, because now we're going into this whole new level.
Yes. So I want to talk about dark marketing. That's exciting.
It is.
Yeah. I think it's this, I think it fits with gaslighting. One of the things that it really is about the same thing. Very similar. It's looking for a flaw to leverage.
Well, so that's what I wanted to ask you about it, because I come from this place of I'm in marketing and I, run a business, and marketing's is the engine room of the whole business. You don't get any business if you don't market and sell. There's nothing.
No.
However, you said, so I want to start with this premise around where you come from in gaslighting.
Yes.
The one thing that I think people find a bit triggering about what you have to say, Nathan, is you go, I'm just teaching you how to gaslight. I'm not telling you if you want to use it for good, because everyone thinks what they do is good. And I think this is a really great premise to start with. How do you gaslight? Just in a very simple way. I mean, you're going to have to go read Nathan's book if you really want to get good at it. I mentioned it to my mother-in-law on the weekend. I was like, he's actually giving you a guide of how to gaslight. She goes, oh, I can't wait to learn how to gaslight people. And I thought that was really funny. She's 69 and she's excited.
Yeah.
But what is it? Just like 101, simply put, how do you gaslight people?
First of all, you're looking for their fears. So if you want, and gaslighting can be used both ways. So I'm going to go with the fears can be used on either side. So say for instance, you can leverage someone's fears. So if you go to the actual book, or the play that was written about, in that play, they talk about that as this Mr. man and woman, the husband and wife, and the wife was afraid of going crazy. And so Mr. Manningham just essentially leveraged that against her. So how you gaslight someone is you look for the things that they're afraid of, the things that they're really, really concerned for, and that they're looking for proof all the time. Or put another way, you get really interested in discovering what someone's identity is. Identity is something that people make up, generally as a reaction to something not going their way in life, or as a perceived flaw, or to cover up a perceived flaw in themselves. So their identity is essentially a bunch of flaws, or a bunch of ways to cover up those perceived flaws. So you look for those and then you speak into them. So, one of the examples is you might want to speak into someone a flaw that when they were kids, they weren't cool. And what they decided was that they were going to become a surfer because they really wanted to be cool. Their fear was they weren't going to be cool and they would never have friends. People wouldn't like them. So they just took on surfing. And they're not a very good surfer, but they've got to constantly buy surfing gear. So you just constantly keep speaking into buy surfing gear. Of course they're going to buy it. So, it's if you speak into a fear, you can get someone to take an action that they otherwise wouldn't. That's what gaslighting is all about, getting someone to take an action like they otherwise wouldn't. Having someone experience that they're going crazy, I mean, you can do that too. I mean, you can, like most people are afraid of going crazy, unless you're already there. So you can do that too. Or looking like they're crazy.
Looking crazy for sure.
Yeah. And that extrapolates out to looking dumb, looking incapable, failing. They're all very, very similar fears. So just hide things. Just take the pepper and salt off the table and say to them, oh, I think you've just forgotten,
Oh
just
yeah,
do things like that.
that was a real thing that happened to you though, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so you had a partner, and I don't know, you don't talk about this in the book, do you?
No, and the reason for that is that I'm really responsible for not diminishing people who've taught me this ability, because it has brought so many great things to me. I just had to look for them, and I just wasn't listening to what was being said. And if you think about it, that I wanted to be right and I didn't want to be, I had fears, that essentially they were doing me a favor. It was like coaching, an expert at finding your flaws and leveraging them against you and using them to control you. So do I want to diminish someone like that? I don't know if it's a good idea.
Yeah, okay. So you don't want to diminish this ex-partner of yours for that. You felt like there was a lot of learning in it. And what you experienced was you put the salt and pepper shakers out on the table, and then you moved somewhere else and you went back and they were gone.
Yep.
And then what was said to you was, no, you never put them out. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. 6 months later, I remember sitting down at a table thinking to myself, and it just popped into my head, I haven't lost anything in 6 months. That is really weird, because I was constantly losing things beforehand, like all the time, every day. Car keys, fruit, everything. It was incredible. And I couldn't even remember the last time I'd lost something. It was so weird. Like losing things was more common for me than not losing things. Yeah.
Yeah. And why was that? Why was that a pivotal moment for you when you realized that?
Well, because who does that? Like, it's such to think to yourself, did we get so used to losing things and not be aware that that's become normal, and then realize, hang on, I haven't lost anything for 6 months. I can't even remember losing. And I think I'm more absent-minded now than I was, back then. What was it? A pivotal moment? It was the moment I realized, holy crap, this was systematic. And these were general, like intentional actions taken. This wasn't just one incident. This was a pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
Systematically.
So when you say, I'm still trying to make the connection between the salt and pepper shakers, the being told that and not losing it, I would have assumed you'd feel like you were losing more things.
After I'd left, I was losing nothing. But during I was losing it all the time. So 6 months later, after I'd left, I'm sitting down, I'm going, I haven't lost anything in like ages. Like, I can't even remember the last time I'd lost something. Whereas I was losing something every day, if not more than once a day.
Right. And so that was the part which you were thinking you were losing your mind.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And that realization of, like I don't lose things. So what's the common denominator here? Because for me, it just never occurred to me that someone would intentionally do that.
Yeah. And I think it's incredible. I know we're talking about dark marketing here, but it's actually really related to exactly what you're saying.
That's how you scam someone.
Exactly. The thing, one of the most common scams at the moment is in computing, because there's such a lack of, I would call it a gap in knowledge between technology advances and people's capability and technology.
Yeah.
So a great way to scam people is to basically, they have an issue with their computer and you become the go-to place and say, yeah, call us, we'll help you out with the computer. And then they call, and then you terrify them about all these things that are going to go wrong with their computer. And then you can sell them antivirus software, or you can tell them that they need X software that they don't actually need. And then people have no gap have no understanding of whether they need it or not. And for the most part, people pay for it.
Yes.
That's what I would call dark marketing. Dark is selling people things they don't need whilst playing into those fears. And that's like a really clear version of it.
That's using gaslighting technology.
Yeah. But there's more what I would call, and these are the ones that I find far more subtle, and this is why I kind of tread lightly on it, because I actually think everyone needs personal development, and we all want to discover our sense of true self. Okay, let me see where I go with this. I don't know where I'm going to go with this, so let me
let's just go. I like the roller coaster ride.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to go. Firstly, I'm going to assert that for the most part, we live in a world where people are terrible at relationships, like terrible. And I'll just share something with you. I got mad at my auntie once And I did. And I was an absolute jerk. And so that side of the family just doesn't talk to me anymore. Okay. And despite my, you know what, I was like, it wasn't that bad. Right.
Yeah.
It was like, I was,
According to Jess,
according
fine.
to me, it wasn't that
Yeah.
bad. I was a bit of a dick. I was.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the family doesn't talk to me anymore. Right.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like, how do I restore this? So at some point I had to stop trying and I just had to let it go.
Yeah.
Exhibit A, my life, not good.
Yeah.
I screwed up every past relationship. That's why I'm not in them anymore. And what I notice is when you talk to people about funeral and how when someone passes away, you hear so much stuff about fights and arguments. Okay. So there's my evidence for people are terrible at relationships.
Yeah.
And then you find really good entrepreneurial people that go, I'm going to be a relationship coach.
Yep.
I'm going to coach people into having better relationships. Okay. And so they have to play in on those flaws, right? And so I do think some of that's really needed. This is why I said I'm going to go. I actually think it's important that we learn how to communicate. There's a lot we're needed. And then there's, you find these people that become like junkies to this work and to these curriculums. Okay. And now, no matter what you do, if you're a good coach, you'll make people believe that they're still flawed and they've still got work to do in relationships and they still have more to do and they still have to become a better person and they can still be a better partner and they can still be a better parent and they can still be better, and you will have a person in a coaching relationship program for the rest of their life.
Yes, you will. Yeah.
Because as human beings, we are fundamentally flawed.
Yep.
We screw up. We do what I did with my auntie all the time to people unintentionally. We make mistakes, we screw up, and we're trying to create a world where we're perfect, when I think the actual world we need to create is one where we accept we're not.
Yep.
We're all doing it to each other all the time.
Yep.
Okay. Rant over.
Okay. And okay, great. So you got that. So what I'm hearing is that, so like we started with these people, like leverage the flaws of the tech people, leverage the flaws of these people that have now become, the expert, advisors to, and they're now selling all this stuff, all these services, talking into their fears.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay. And a relationship coach talks to the fears or the failings of their customers, and now you've got a customer for life. And are you looking for where's the line, or because that's often a question I've asked, is like, where's the line between dark marketing and not?
Yeah, well, it's challenging, isn't it? Where is the line?
Yes.
Because
Yeah, it's
what
great.
I've just described is a good business model in some cases.
This is the challenge of being a human being. Yeah. Like, does the person who just got ripped off, are they looking to learn a lesson in life? And would they have learnt that lesson had they not gotten involved with the IT person who sold too much stuff to them? Is that what we're looking for? It's really difficult. Like, should Mercedes-Benz call all of its customers before they purchase a Mercedes-Benz and say, listen, you don't really need the Mercedes-Benz. You could get away with a Kia. It's got all the features you need. Like, are they selling stuff to their customers they don't need?
Or are they there? But we realize that you're very egotistical. You want to look superior and you want to look at, and why make all that money you've made if you can't be that way using your car as a way of expressing that? So we here at Mercedes, we want to make sure you really look good.
Yep. Yeah. Could you imagine them doing that? It's nuts. They wouldn't. It's ridiculous. And that's where it comes. Dark marketing is not complicated. You just got to be smarter than your customer.
But that's
really all it's about.
And so you got to be smarter than your customer in a world where there's so much what I call, gap in knowledge around what is happening in scams and technology. And so it's really hard. How does a customer ever compete with what the hell's going on out there?
You can't. That's the challenge. I mean, it would be a really good idea to go to a great heart surgeon. They know a lot more about heart surgery. Highly advise you do not heart surgeon yourself, or ask your mate to do so. It's probably not going to end well for you. So where do you draw the line here? Where do you go?
Yeah.
I
think I've just been burnt. I am a tech expert, apparently.
Yep.
And even calling myself a tech expert, it doesn't really make sense, because it's like saying, you know, technology has 500,000 specialties.
Yes.
So I'm only good at what I'm good at. There's
Uh-huh.
many different tech things out there that I'm not actually
Yeah.
masterful at, but I know I'm in the industry, so I can access those people easily. And even I get caught here. And that's what I get concerned about, is I go into some of these programs and I have these people market to me and I go, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And I put all my money in it and they don't deliver.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed, going, I'm like scammed.
Yeah. You don't like to be outsmarted. No one likes to be
Oh,
outsmarted.
yeah, like I buy something and then I get in it, it's not what I asked for. And then when I go to them and complain and say, this is not what you said in the contract, they kind of, this is the gaslighting part that I get really, I experience being gaslighted when they go, well, you didn't ask that question and you didn't do that and you haven't done that part and you're not doing this. And I'm like,
Trigger City.
I know. And then when I listen to you, I'm like, am I just not taking responsibility of the fact that, like, what they're saying is probably true? I didn't.
I get what you're saying. Like, I'm not just like, you know, the person who's lost $200,000 to a scam. Like, I really feel for them. And it's, you know, having been where I've been in life a few times, you know, I get the pull to go, you know what, you're horrible and you took my $200,000 and those sorts of things. And it does have a really profound impact on people. Knowing that someone isn't going to come back and give you your money back now, you know, has had me realize that it's not my fault, but it's my responsibility. Like, I've got to learn from this. And that's it. There's no other option. It's not like they're going to come back and give me my 200 grand back or whatever it was that someone else had done to me. You know, if I have a view that people wouldn't hide your things and then call you crazy, that's on me, not on anyone else. You know, because people do it. It's normal behavior for many people. Most human beings gaslight. So it absolves you of personal responsibility, which doesn't help you at all.
See, the alternative to this, when I hear that,
Yeah.
you're saying it's your responsibility to know that there are people in the world that do fucked up shit.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And I wasn't responsible for that.
And yes, and please bleep that out, Jolo. Okay. Okay. So you're saying that. And I know that where I go to is that I don't want to believe that the world is unsafe and I should be afraid of it. I don't want to go there.
But it's not. It's not afraid and unsafe. You don't have to accept the world's afraid. You should be fearful or unsafe of the world. The world's just the way the world is. That's the way the world is. That's it. It's not more complicated than that.
Yeah, but the world is, as what you're saying, is anything can happen at any time. And people can kind of be anyway to you. Just kind of be okay with that. That's cool. It's cool. Someone can possibly make you feel crazy.
Yeah. They could have a crack at that 100%. And it's just a game. People are playing games all the time. And it does take something. Like, I have not always been that way, you know, but it's really empowering. Don't get me wrong. It sucks when you get caught out. Like, I really do not like feeling like I'm dumb. Like, I'd be annoyed me if someone scammed me. I'm like, why did I not I can see the spelling mistakes now. Like, why did I click that link?
Yeah, I know. The one is gmail.com. And I'm like, how did I miss that? It's not .com. Even tell me on. How?
It's even telling you. Yeah, they tell you. Like, you know, some of the written scams even have spelling mistakes so that they cull out the people who are, you know, less likely to click on them, the more likely to catch them out. So if there's a spelling mistake and someone still clicks, well, we've got ourselves someone who's a little bit less present. Like, they're not dumb.
I do. I find it so, and I think, you know, as I'm talking to you, I'm like, it makes me so angry. And I almost want to, like, why am I so angry at this? Because I don't, like, the other day, my partner bought a chair. I'll give you this example. So buys this chair online and it looks really legit. Like, it looks super legit. And she showed me it, and great chair. It's one of these, like, I don't know, you'd have to be kind of a bit spiritual and natural and hippie to buy this chair. Okay. So that in itself to me is like, well, there's no large market out there of people buying these chairs. They're like you're kneeling as you're
Yeah,
in it,
yeah.
right? And so she convinces her boss to buy her this chair, gets a credit card, buys this chair, and it doesn't come for 4 weeks. But she receives an email, gets a tracking code, then goes onto the tracking code to this logistics company, looks legit, still looks legit, thinks, oh, it's waiting, emails them and said, oh, it's on its way, we're just waiting. She brings it to me and I'm like, let me have a look at this. And I look at it. The website is so well done with testimonials, with everything. And then it goes to this other tracking logistics company. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. The tracking logistics company number is the same as the chair manufacturer. They're not the same people. And they're, and you call that number and so what they've got all these websites, all the same email, all the same phone number. And they got some guy at the end going, oh yeah, your package is coming. Oh yeah, it's coming. Oh yeah, it's coming, right? And so much so that even banks say, make sure you contact the manufacturer. So she contacts the bank, tries to withdraw it, knows it's a scam. All over Trustpilot, Google reviews, this is a scam. They just wait out. That the banks won't refund the money because if you can contact them, they don't try and take the money back. So the scammers have even worked out how you get your money back, and they're scamming that.
Yep.
Like sophisticated scams. I find that so infuriating. Like the levels at which people go to make dirty money, not genuinely try to add value, just try and take money.
I'm so glad you're here with me, Jess, because, dirty money, I just love it. I love the fire. I love it, Really reminds me, you're right. And it's definitely a place you can stand. But you never learn anything about yourself standing there. Or at least I didn't. Like for me, realizing that when you play a game of football, you do whatever it takes to win. I mean, we sit there and pay professionals at all sorts of sports gazillions of dollars to win, and we sit back and watch them, and we don't care how they win. There's a set of rules, but we don't care how they win other than that. And we exist we live in society where we have this game of life and there's a set of rules, and we get annoyed when someone else comes up with a really good way to win.
But it's got no integrity, Nathan.
Well, it might not have integrity, but we're not having a conversation about integrity. We're having a conversation about games, and we love a winner. Human beings love a winner. As they say, there's all's fair in love and war. There's rules. What rules? It's just, we like to, when it applies to us, we don't like it. But if we thought the idea up and we became gazillionaires, we'd be pretty pleased with ourselves. There's not many people who'd be listening to this and didn't wish they became a bookseller about 15, 20 years ago, and now we're the second richest man on the planet. We're just annoyed we didn't think it up.
I don't think I am annoyed. I didn't think up how to scam people pretending to sell products.
Okay, that's a fair point.
I don't.
But I'm sure people are listening to this. I'm sure people are listening and thinking to themselves, hang on. So if I set up a couple of different websites, and they can call me, well, my money's not getting refunded.
No, the banks, well, I'm sure eventually the banks will catch on to. You can't put that many "this is a scams" on Trustpilot. And no, it's like the dodgiest website ever. I should probably get you what it's called so people know. But you can't miss it. If you Google scam and the name of anything, you will find scams. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but what is it that I'm really unsettled with about this? And I don't know what it is. It's like, I'm not proud that we live in a world where this has become what needs to happen for people to win at life. That's kind of not okay with me. 50 to 70 years ago, there were other problems we had. We had different problems.
Yeah.
Right? We in the 1950s, the laws were changed so that Black people were actually not considered animals.
Yeah.
In 1990, certain laws were changed and there were equal rights and there were different things happen and women could vote and there's all sorts of things. Now, for me, the game has become about, we might have all these equal rights. We can now live as we want to live. You can choose not even to be human. You can identify as a cat. You can you can choose your gender, choose your sexuality. You can live however you want to live. And if you don't like it here, there's plenty of other countries that are communist. You can go and live in those countries and you can avoid all of the bullshit gender arguments. You can really live and be however you want to be in the world, right? But I am not okay that the game has become about how to take people's money at all costs and how to undermine people to get ahead. If you're the smartest person, you win. Don't be the dumbest and you'll be fine. It's like that's what we've become. This is the new kind of issue that I have.
Okay, but I get it. I have my own businesses and we're very particular about having integrity in them. I come at this subject differently, which is that, human behavior is fascinating. You could almost say that what you're describing is all that's wrong with the world. We've got all these actual problems and people are spending a lot of time and effort, taking people's money. Imagine if they got smart about, solving some more of the challenges. But that's humanity. I've worked in the coal industry, and the number of people who complain about the coal industry, but don't realize that if they did something about the coal industry and made it financially not feasible, they just wouldn't mine coal anymore. Like there's so many people in the world that don't like coal, but they complain and hope someone else solves the problem. Like this is just humanity. It's just, this is us. This is our flawed, this is these flaws you were talking about. And until we get responsible for that, it's just going to continue.
Yeah.
You might as well have fun.
Agree. I totally agree with you. Like, I totally agree. I get frustrated and I get the shits and it drives me crazy. But I am actually building tech and designing tech and building my business to be a business that really makes a difference. And empowers those out there that are really heart-centered. And my business partner hates it when I say heart-centered because it's not what he call it. He just likes...
I'd love to see that, eh? See his eyes when you say that, heart-centered.
I don't know how he describes it in his words. In my words, it's I work with the coolest people that they're impacting those things that don't work in the world.
Yeah.
And they're not even complaining about it. I work with a woman who is incredible. She fosters children. She has 12 childcare centers. She's her own platform business as well in tech. And she's all about children and making a difference to children.
Yeah.
And that woman, she's just Teflon to anything that's not about making a difference. She wouldn't even have this conversation. She wouldn't have time for it. She'd be like, whatever, what's that got to do with helping children? I'm moving on.
And that's right. That's exactly right. That's a perfect point.
So what I can hear underneath this for you is I'm just going to write a book that teaches people how to gaslight. They can choose what they do for it because who cares? Go out there and create something that matters in the world because this is what's really going on.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. But what I would say is that, how you said you want to add value. What I realized is that my whole life I've been fascinated with human behavior. I've certainly made it wrong, but what has always been there is just that fascination. And when you take away the judgment and the right and the wrong and all the, morals and all the stuff, opinions elevated to something more than they are, you just get to see humanity and it adds value to people that I'm this way about it. It doesn't bother me if I walk into a boardroom and someone behaves inappropriately. I could just see the game they're playing and there's no judgment. It's like, okay, well, let's play that game, big fella. Yeah, and that's okay. That's just part of the game that we're going to play as part of business. Would I prefer for them to use their abilities to move forward? 100%. But it's their life to live. It's not for me to tell them how they should live their life. I'm not the law, I'm just a guy living out my life.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. That was quite profound, Nathan.
Sorry, what'd you say?
That was quite profound, Nathan.
Oh, was it? Jeez, I should record that. Make sure that it's on. I like it when I'm profound.
I don't know how close we've remained talking about dark marketing, but I think
we have.
And I think if I bring it all together, what I'm sort of hearing in this conversation is companies, people, individuals, human beings will do absolutely anything to win. We've created a state of play in the world. For whatever reason, we've wound up here. trying to win at life.
We're the predators of predators. We are the apex predator. No one looked around lately and gone, geez, there's no one else chasing me. No bears chasing us anymore. Like, we are the winners.
Sort of.
That's
And
part of who we are.
So we're going to eat each other if we don't.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, if we've got nothing to predator and we're predators, well, of course we're going to become predators for ourselves. Like, that's an incredible, like, yeah, I'm glad you said that. Like, if we don't aim people in a direction where we can apply our own hyper competitiveness, to something of value, well, it turns into a scam website where the shipping company and the furniture company are the same place. We predator each other. It's just part of being a human being.
Yeah. I remember, I know I'm going on about this, but I was getting this scam person call me over and over and over. And I remember saying to him, you've called me like 20 times today. Do you sleep at night? And he said, I sleep really well. You poor thing. You've received too many phone calls from me. I started mocking. He goes, oh, your poor little white privileged life. And I went, oh, okay. And then he hung up and I went, I just had a scammer like totally make fun of me, but he's right. Like, I'm like, actually, for myself, I wish I was always further ahead and I had more and I had this and I had that. But actually, I live in Australia. I've got a pretty good wage. I run a business that I love. That's something I created out of my mission to transform tech in the world. I have 2 amazing kids. I managed to become a great ex-partner, despite not wanting to become one, because breaking up sucks. I got this amazing new partner, which is not new, but amazing partner now. My life's amazing. Like, I have an incredible life, and my complaint is some dude keeps calling me over and over every day.
And his point's really good. It doesn't take much traveling to realize how fortunate we are, and they want a piece of it. And I can't judge them for that. Some people live in, both of the businesses that I think that just come to mind, both of them have outreach components of our business to make a difference, because they're international businesses, to make a difference to the people who are less privileged than us. It's super important. Like, I get that they want a piece. If you're not humble or responsible for that, I think, of course, you're going to be scammed. We're incredibly privileged. I have traveled to plenty of places, and I haven't found a place that has a better lifestyle or standard of living than Australia.
No, I have. Yeah, I probably haven't traveled as much as you, but I haven't been to much of Southeast Asia and Asian continents, but I've been all over Europe and America. And I have, even though these Europe and America on par with the similar culture and Commonwealth culture, I still think Australia is the best place to live.
Yeah, lifestyle in Europe is nothing. We're incredibly fortunate. We can have an incredible life on the government money here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't even know if anyone is working here.
We're really good at digging stuff out of the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get their view. Look, what else are they going to do? Their chance of becoming wealthy by just ripping one person off, $200,000 in many Southeast Asian nations is an incredible sum of money. That would be multi-generational wealth for many places.
Yeah. And I think just on this, maybe what it is, I remember when I saw The Fire. I don't know if you've seen the Fire documentary, FYRE.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
The greatest event that never happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was something in that when I watched it, I didn't get concerned about it because I remember even saying something about a whole lot of rich kids getting ripped off makes me feel okay.
Nothing like justifying as there, eh?
Yeah, because the ones that got ripped off had lots of money.
Yeah.
But there were workers on the island. I can't remember what island it was, but the island that it happened on, they were the people I really felt for. The ones that didn't get paid for all the work that they were doing, the people that really struggle with money. And there is a part of me that I feel like there are still people in Australia that struggle. Yes. Like, whilst there are privileged people out there, my biggest concern is always the scams, the gaslighting, the people taking advantage of those that don't have anything, those that are really grappling in life. And that's the part where I go, it's dark. That's where it feels dark.
Yes.
It feels dark to go, I can take advantage of you. I only can take a little bit off you, but it's all you've got. And I could really screw with your life. That doesn't seem right to me.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
That to me is like, if there's bad and wrong, that's wrong.
Bad and wrong. Okay.
I don't mind if people go and scam Donald Trump, or I don't mind if they scam Elon Musk a little because he's got loads of money, or rich kids out there. I don't mind. It's interesting. I don't like people getting scammed who are already vulnerable and grappling in life.
Well, the interesting part about that is that if you're already vulnerable, the probability of you being scammed is even higher. Yeah. So and I mean, I think that comes back to your comment about personal development, which is that if you know yourself, then, and you know who you are, like your flaws, then you're probably going to find yourself being scammed less. But people who are already vulnerable might not, have the means or the want or the interest, because looking at your flaws can be uncomfortable. We're not really taught to look at our flaws. We're told our flaws are okay. It's okay to be flawed. Well, it is until you get scammed out of your life savings, and then it sucks.
When you said that, I remember doing this. I was just looking at this seminar I did.
Yeah.
And we're talking exactly about what you're talking about. And I had to write down what my biggest fear was. And my biggest fear was becoming someone who hated my life. And I thought there was something else in there that was a bit more exciting. But the only thing, the ultimate prize for me that I wrote down would be being admired.
Yeah.
Right. So if I had an awesome life, then I could be admired. They called it like the coin of the realm on Earth is being admired. And if everyone wants to be admired, then what do you have to do to be admired? You need to have money and stuff and good relationships. Apparently, that's all you need. My biggest issue is just don't hate my life. That's all I want to do. So what you're saying is, for a gaslighter, someone who wants to gaslight me, they would try and make me hate my life.
Or they would make you really, really like them. They would be really, really successful. People who would admire them, and that they would show you that all the things that you wish you were. You could do both. See, you have a flaw that it is that you've won at life if people admire you. And that's really, a lot of people have it. Like, they all want to be liked, except good luck with that.
Yeah.
It's gaslighting is just not about negative, but you can use this in any situation. The crazy part that comes with gaslighting is not entirely, well, it's not, but you can, if I pointed out to you something that you believe was true about yourself or people in the world and had you see past it, you'd feel like you were going crazy. There's plenty of people who, once they see past their identity, like, actually realize, holy crap, I've lived like a crazy person. I've kept up this identity of a skater boy when all I really was a kid who wanted a friend. And I've lived my entire life trying to please people being a skater. When I was 6, I just wanted a friend, so I took up skating. Or my mum yelled a lot, so I became a yeller. Or my dad was really promiscuous, and I just promised myself that I'd never be like that again. So I picked my first girlfriend in high school, and I never, ever left her, despite the fact that her behavior was really inappropriate. Yeah, did the girlfriend leverage that flaw against them? Did they have that experience? Probably. It's gaslighting is, there's a lot of perspective in it, depending on where you look. Definitely not depending where you look. Like, when I look back at a lot of my own experiences, I was a bit of a know-it-all. So it was really uncomfortable for me if I couldn't find something. So it's just a really easy flaw to leverage. And I had to always be right a lot. Shocking. I had to be the smartest guy in the room, because when I was a kid, people ridiculed me because I got a question wrong, and I wanted to impress my mum, because I thought that my mum would love me more and be like Mary Poppins if I got better marks. That's how it started. It's not making someone feel like they're crazy. Like, that's a crazy behavior, to literally think your mum's going to turn into Mary Poppins if you get good marks. Like, that's just crazy.
She's going to pull out umbrellas over the purse.
Yeah, exactly. It's a spoonful of sugar. But I really did. It was back there. And I could have said that my mum used that against me. That's ridiculous. I mean, she didn't decide that. She was never going to become Mary Poppins. My mum was my mum, doing my mum thing, and she did a pretty good job. Like, I've had an incredible life.
Yeah.
So it's dark marketing. I think if we were to bring it back again to dark marketing, for me would be where an organization knows more than the person they're selling to. They speak into something that their customer is not aware of, and that customer takes an action they have to buy.
Yeah. That just makes me, I mean, this is controversial, and maybe we could just do this separately, because it's like, yeah, like I'm even afraid to say it. Like,
I like this. I'm going to get closer. Hang on, this is going to be
get
good.
closer.
I love your stories, Jess. When you told me about the one about, you had that story about how you got scammed, I was like, this is going to be so great.
Yeah. You know what you just said about dark marketing, and we probably have talked more about other things than dark marketing. What you just said is probably true, because I think I'm trying to distinguish what it is myself. And it's like insider trading. It's like I know more about this. So let's just say that some of the conspiracy theorists out there are true, because we don't know, right? And let's just say that, I don't know, there's these vaccine companies out there that create a virus just so they can sell a vaccine, right? Let's just say, I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know what happened. I actually have no idea, but it's possible that someone could do that, right? It could actually go, I'm a vaccine company, and the best thing for my business is viruses get out into the world so that I can sell my vaccines, right?
Yeah.
That would be what you would call dark marketing, where it's like, I'm going to get my mates together, I'm going to give them all kickbacks. And then essentially, like, I mean, who would have thought that you could get the whole world to take a vaccine? That's pretty impressive. That's a lot of people having a vaccine, right? Now, it could be completely legitimate. It could be. I'm not saying that it's not. You would never want to be labeled as anti-vax in the world, because if you're labeled as anti-vax, you're seen as somehow a little bit less than people. And I just want you to know, I had a vaccine. Okay. So I'm not anti-vax. I'm just saying.
I love how you dance this dance. It's so much fun for me. I love it. Did you notice I haven't stepped back? I've just been
I know, you
listening to
just
this
want
story.
to tell
This
me.
is great. Yeah.
I'm just saying that when you really look at the whole like vaccine rollout and everything that happened, if that isn't done in good faith, and that did have any kind of, corruption or any kind of, let's kind of make this a bit worse than it is, let's do something to have all these people do, like, if this isn't done in good faith, that's what you would call dark marketing.
Okay.
As an example.
Look, I think we've touched dark marketing. I think to step back, I think you could talk about it really, really particularly over and over and over again, but you've got to see it. And if you can't see, if the person who's listening or watching can't see it, that's the first step to see, like to actually hearing what we're saying. If you can see your own identity, you can see dark marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that some people would say that's just a really good business model, what you just described.
But that's what I mean. Like, I know.
Is that dark marketing or just great business?
But this is what I mean. Is it?
Does
Because
it have integrity? I don't know if it would, but you design your own integrity.
oh, there's so much to talk about here.
It's so great, isn't it? It's
It
just
is.
spicy. And I just loved watching you struggle with that, eh?
I even want to go back to the food production. Like, if we go back to food production and go, how certain foods used to get created, and how the slow, like, I've just learned how to make bread from scratch.
Yes.
And, you can't make your own bread from scratch. You actually have to have a yeast, what do they call it? A starter culture be given to you. And the starter culture, if you try and create one from scratch, it takes like 10 years for you to master it, for you to even make okay bread. So the culture itself has to be given and passed down like some sort of virus. And then you get this culture passed to you. And I just got one given that's 10 years old, and it's been making good bread, and it's like organic and got no chemical in it. And then you got to add organic flour to it, because if you put non-organic flour, then you get these chemicals that are sprayed on the wheat when they're harvested that impact the molecules of what you're creating. And I'm listening to this going, and someone came along and went, this takes too long. Okay. This is, who has time to sit here and make bread all day and pass it down to generations? Just like spray it. Just spray it with some chemicals, get rid of the things that eat the wheat, just mow it down, put it in a production line, send it out. Look, it's giving people skin conditions and sinus and all sorts of problems with their gut, but it's only a little bit of that. Like, it's not too bad, like, and then now everyone's got all these allergies to everything. but don't worry. Science can come along and say, it's okay. It's not too bad. It's okay. It's probably not the best. What I'm saying is, over time, it's like, is that a good business model? Because someone did come along and learn how to sell bread at mass. Now, the quality of the bread is a lot better, is a lot worse. And it is causing people some health concerns, but they're not dying. But is that a good business model? Or is that...
Well, if you go up to the supermarket, I don't see many Jess Clair sourdoughs up there, 10-year-old starter. So, and most people would buy their bread from the supermarket, we have given up, our lives for modern life. We do lose, we do die earlier. Our life expectancy is longer, but there is some impacts. But, it's a good question. The viewers or the listeners here, where they'd be able to comment on whether they think that the person who told you that you need a 10-year-old starter and to put organic, flour into it is correct, that you believe that what they said is great. But, I'm sure there'll be viewers or listeners who are like, hang on, nah. You don't have to do that. You could just make one from home. It would be interesting to find out that that's the case. And if that's the case, then who got gaslighted? Jess Clair. Got gaslighted about bread, Jess. You got scammed buying organic bread. Maybe that's what they started. Maybe what they did was they got all these hippies 10 years ago and gave them out all this starter and said to them, we want you to create all this sourdough starter. And they've just been just infiltrating society for 10 years, just waiting for a moment to come out and gaslight people into buying organic flour and just boycotting all the bread companies. Now, that could be a great business model.
That's not, because even the hippies are too busy now. They're meditating.
They're working at...
Who has time to sit there and make bread all day? That shit is hard. They're meditating. They're working on their pleasure, and they're saving the world.
Saving the world, yeah. One line of code at a time.
Exactly. I don't know where we've gone with this, and I don't know if any of it's made sense, but here we are discussing what was dark marketing. I think there's so much to probably hone in on in here, but we'll probably have to wrap it up. What would your final words be for you today, Nathan?
Well, you learn so much more about human beings and what's possible when you stop making what we do wrong. And you get interested in things like dark marketing. That pull to make what people do wrong gets in the way of success in life. So my takeaway with it would be to consider dark marketing as this great opportunity to see inside of who we are and what we're capable of and what it takes to win and what some people are willing to do to win.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I'm going to leave it there. Everyone, I would love you to contemplate Nathan's question. Thanks again, Nathan. Look forward to the next.
Thanks, Jess. You're a legend.
Thanks
for listening.
Please do put in the comments any questions, your thoughts on anything that we've said. And then, of course, like you said, Nathan, what was your question to us, the listeners? Whether I was gaslit into getting a starter culture, or
10-year-old starter culture. Or you could just create one yourself, in a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks. Very interested. I'll make sure I've got a few friends that will comment on that. Okay.
You're not able to contact friends and say, hey, give me agreement for my choices. That's also gaslighting.
Or is it just a good business model?
Well, it could be. It could be.
All right. Till next time.